This is a clip from the Red Cow Arcade podcast.
Yeah, so Boba Fett. So nobody liked the first episode but us.
Yes.
And then everybody likes the second episode, and that kind of redeems the first one. Is that, do I have it right?
Yeah, and the inside scoop is that nobody's watching it. Like, I bet,
Really? Nobody's
or at least
watching
Disney's disappointed with the numbers. Yeah, and especially the second episode. I guess there was a huge drop off.
Now, how smart would it have been for them to release both episodes? On the
I
same
think they
day?
should have, definitely. I think because I like the first one. I think it does a lot. Like it's very visual. There's little dialogue, especially in the beginning. You know, he's getting out of the Sarlacc pit and all that, and there's it's kind of like some of the stuff, like, you know, in Rogue One, where you see Star Wars in like different shots. You know, like there's things that they do that you don't normally see in Star Wars. Like like the in Rogue One they did the man eye view of the ATs, and it like was like shot like a war film almost. And there's similar stuff here where there's camera angles and artful things, which it's got to be like Robert Rodriguez doing his thing, and it really works for me. Where in the music choices too feel very fresh for Star Wars.
It's so funny because I'm like, so often what I'm enjoying, I'm like, ooh, it's not like Star Wars. Therefore I'm enjoying it. I'm like, well, then why does it have to be Star Wars? Why don't I just watch something else? Like it's like Joker's like that too, where you're like, ooh, I kind of like that. It's not like a superhero movie, but I'm watching because it's a superhero movie.
I think what it says is there's a lot of avenues that Star Wars could go, and you don't have to do the George Lucas reverse shot.
Well, I guess the generous thing would be that if George Lucas based the Star Wars universe, the Star Wars fiction in these kind like genre homages, then what the shows are able to do is homage samurai, tribal stuff, Western, heist. You know, they can weave in and out of, crime, mob movies.
Yeah.
They can kind of weave in and out too. Yeah. So it's cool. Yeah. I actually thought the first episode was cool as hell. And then I rewatched 1 and 2 back to back with Nina. And when I was watching it kind of through her eyes, I was like, oh yeah, I guess it is kind of like underwhelming, or like it feels like we don't know what the show is yet enough in the first one. So I was like, please just watch the second one, because then I feel like you'll get it. And then she did. But so then something else must have worked on me. And I think it is what you're saying. I think it was the kind of fresh aesthetic. It was certainly that music that dude who does, his name is Ludwig. He did the music for Mandalorian as well. I think his music's amazing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But both these is knocking out of the park then.
Yeah. And you know what I love about it too is, and of course the second episode's very Dances with Wolves, but I like Dances with Wolves, so it's okay.
That's a good version of that.
Yeah, it's a very good version of that. I love Mandalorian, I do, but you've always heard me complain about, like, I don't like every episode is like, yes, I'll give you the info, but first you must complete a quest.
Answer me. Yeah, get these things from this, and then I will give you the quest item that
so
you
far,
will use.
The show ain't that. The show is kind of more like a Better Call Saul-ish type vibe, where
it's taking its time, and you still don't really know completely what Boba Fett's motivation is in the present,
right?
Like why he's like trying to become a crime lord. Because like you get the flashbacks and he's almost just surviving in the flashbacks, and he's almost recreating himself after the Sarlacc pit. So you don't really know what he's about in the present. I assume we'll find out what his motivation is, and he'll reveal that to us. And that might be frustrating to some people, where it's like, why is he doing this? Why does he care about Tatooine and being a crime lord? Why would Boba Fett do that? I'm
really in the bag for, like, I love stories about somebody remaking themselves or having a near-death experience and it completely changing who they are, or, like, and this is a character where we've never really known who he was anyway. Not really.
Yeah. I've seen a couple like crabby Gen Xers being like, he's supposed to be this and supposed to, it's like, we didn't know anything about him.
Yeah.
It's like, so I don't think I have, like, he has a cool art design to him, and that's probably why you liked him. And it's like, they're ruining the mystique, and it's like, the mystique's not that interesting.
Yeah, not anymore anyway. It's like you've gotten 40 years of a mystique. Like maybe it's time that we do something with it.
And look, he was already a little kid with Jango Fett. There's some mystique gone.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, if you asked me, you're like, hey, do you think this is what Boba Fett was? I'd be like, no, I had no idea. But please keep showing me cool things. I mean, this whole thing with the Tuskens just captivated me for some reason.
Yeah. Well, again, it's doing things very simply, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think you need to reinvent the wheel here. It's simply, it's Dances with Wolves. It's,
giving him
or whatever,
giving him the kind of like tribal robes instead of the white spacesuit. It felt in The Mandalorian like they did that because putting him in the white spacesuit would only reveal that he's not a slender Englishman from the 80s. But now to actually go ahead and explain that. And I heard that like he was the guy, because he's Maori, the New Zealander, that he was the one being like, hey, maybe Boba Fett can do a haka, and maybe like we can incorporate some of my heritage and stuff. And they were like, okay. But like, it wasn't something that they had originally thought to do. And now it's like, obviously a major part of the show is like this cultural stuff that he's bringing to it. And I actually like that actor, if had Lucas not cast that guy as Boba Fett, I don't think that he would be at the top of the list of people to cast in like a major TV series for Disney Plus. I don't think he brings that kind of juice. But there's something kind of cool about the fact that he's not the best actor in the world. He's something kind of just like masculine and neutral about him.
Yeah, well, he does bring a sort of intensity to him too. Like a lot of the, like, I love the scene where he just goes into like Tashi Station or wherever. He just beats up a bunch of guys. He just like pounds a drink and then leaves. He doesn't even explain why he did any of that.
Right.
It's like there's something very masculine. He gives a very powerful, like strong that performance. It's not good. It's not great. It's just, it's him, and it's actually, I think it works in this situation.
Yeah, I guess I love a story about somebody being, stripped down naked and then rebuilt. There's something cool. And, in Return of the Jedi, they killed this character. And so to be like, somehow Boba Fett has returned would be really shitty. But they didn't. Instead, they spent an hour and a half being like, Boba Fett's changed. Boba Fett's a different guy, maybe a different guy than you expect.
Yeah, he was brought to his lowest point, literally, into a Sarlacc pit, and he was like, man, there's some very visceral. It was Boba Fett's bad day in that first episode, definitely.
Yeah.
And then when he remakes himself, and the train heist is awesome. I love like there's some like comedic details that kind of remind me of kind of the prequels, but done better. Like the train droid in the front, he's just like just doing all this random shit with it's true, with the train parts, and it looks ridiculous and comedic. And then he like scurries out after like on these little tiny spider legs. It's
like the special edition or something. Yeah, totally.
There's something comedic and playful that George Lucas would just insert and we would all complain about, but this was done a little more tastefully. But
and then the twin huts, which as far as I can tell, I think they might be conjoined, which is even more disgusting and awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. They're definitely intertwined.
Yeah.
And they're I love the joke. It's like, you don't have a litter. You haven't gone in with a litter, and then these guys come in with a litter, and it's like sagging at the middle.
It's great, and he's wiping the sweat from his brow with a fucking mouse, and they got the girl on with her little fan, and like she just wants to kill everybody.
She's just like whispering over.
The brother's like, she always wants to kill everybody. I think it's amazing. I love it. I love it even more than the Mandalorian. I like Mandalorian an awful lot. I think it's very cool. But this is like my speed, and it's disappointing that people are giving up on it. I hope that word of mouth for the second episode. It does seem like the second episode turned a lot of people around.
Yeah, I think so. And there's that Black Wookiee had a great design to him. I hear he's from like comic books or something. I don't know.
He works with Boba Fett at some point or something.
Yeah, but he's got a great design. I thought I never knew that until somebody told me after. But I was like, oh, that's an interesting.
Yeah.
Like I like bringing in elements of the universe and making it feel very lived in. And I was joking to you earlier. I was like, man, they really can't get the CG on these huts right, even after like 25 years. It still looks like special edition.
Yeah. And yeah, because it's consistent with special edition. At this point, I'm nostalgic for special edition. I'm like, oh, they look perfect. That's exactly how they should look.
That's how Jabba looks, right?
Yeah. I'm actually even more nostalgic for the first release of the special edition, because of course the special edition got specialized.
Oh yeah, it got the DVD release. They upgraded the model, but I think I liked the older model better.
Yeah, he was a little bit smoother. They over textured him in the second one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it, and I now I'm like looking forward to every Wednesday. I like it better than Hawkeye. I like Hawkeye a lot, but I it's like one of my favorite things. I'm like super into it. That music too is that that credits music. Hey, bum 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 bum.
Yeah.
Oh, and Matt Berry plays the droid.
Oh yeah.
Richard Ayoade played a droid in Mandalorian, so they're gonna get the whole IT crowd eventually, I guess. But, yeah, having Matt Berry be like, he will not talk. He will not be best buddies with you. Is amazing.
I love how they made him like kind of old trilogy janky too. Like he's like, I don't know, Marriott on strings.
Yeah, it's so good. And it makes this Tusken stuff makes you like, it makes the Anakin thing a lot worse, you know?
Well, they kind of justify in the thing. It's like, oh, all the other Sand People tribes are more brutal than us or whatever. But
you can even understand why any particular Sand person tribe would hold captives. I mean, they're in like dire straits. They're, kind of this impoverished, rambling group of people. And so of course Anakin was justified in his rage, but now that you know this, like the Tusken women and you know the Tusken children. So when he evokes that later in the scene, it's like, oh Jesus, you really did kill fucking people that were having a bad go of it. So I think it enriches the drama of the prequels somehow, but the only thing it makes now that it makes even less sense that Natalie Portman's like, it's okay. Doesn't mean it. We all have bad days, Sometimes you murder an entire village.
Well, she's racist, so doesn't like those Sand People.
You think I give a fuck about Sand People? And yeah, I'm with you. It's like, how can he be? I'm not sure. I'm sure you could desecrate Boba Fett even further. But it's once you made him a kid and it's like, oh, and he's a clone too, and then you revoiced him over for the
there's ton of everyone's a Kiwi in these in these shows and movies.
And
just,
like,
who cares?
Remember like Josh Trank was supposed to do a Boba Fett movie, and then like
I'm so glad it didn't happen. Yeah,
James Mangold was supposed to do it too, and of course I'm sure James Mangold make a very cool Boba Fett movie, but. Yeah, I really like the series thing because we're an hour and a half in and basically nothing's happened. And you could never go to imagine being in the movie theater and you're an hour and a half in and this is all you've gotten. You'd be like, what the fuck? But it's just preferable for me.
I got a robe now. Cover my fat.
Yeah, the guy... I thought because there was a few really unfortunate shots in Mandalorian where he was like, I think he did. It seems like he did some working out between this and that. But like when you get to be your mid 50s, even when you're like an in shape guy, you've got kind of that heft to you. And
both him and Fennec are like pushing 60, right? Like both those actors and actresses are like 50 and 60.
Well, then she is doing very well for herself.
They look awesome for what they are, but yeah.
Do you remember she was Chun-Li in the Street Fighter movie?
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
On the topic of hot.
Good. She looks good.
And then you saw The Matrix.
I actually have the Street Fighter movie. I have the Street Fighter movie.
Apropos.
It's yeah, there you go, Vega. Yeah. It's the kind of Mortal Kombat version of Street Fighter they made for the movie, which is awful, but it's also great. There's Jean-Claude Van Damme, Guile.
I just like the meta-ness of it. You know, the movie based on a game, and then they made a game based on it.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it so much.
And it's digitized characters, like you said.
It's digitized characters. Oh, so good.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.